Hi everyone, welcome to the New Flower Hour. I do this every Tuesday at 12 noon, and I'm always happy to be here. It kind of reminds me of the old radio school days. I actually started doing these Instagram lives to sell my new book, which is called Aging Brilliantly, and it came out March 10th, right before this pandemic took hold. So I was planning on spending each Instagram live talking about chapters from my book. However, I guess Miss Corona took over. So, but the thing is this is all about how to eat, move, rest, and socialize your way to long life. And I'm going to tell you the truth that when you have to protect yourself from this SARS virus, then you want to do all that stuff. You want to eat, move, rest, and socialize, but instead of to long life, to like save your life. And every week I've been asking some of you all to DM me some questions or email my office about, hi everyone, hi Janique. I wanted everyone to write me some questions. And it's funny, I've done so many of these COVID-19 videos, but that's what you all still want to hear. So here are all the questions I have, and I'm going to go through all of them. But it seems like a lot of you are really interested in figuring out how to preserve and strengthen your immune system, but through diet. Okay, so I've been talking about supplements. Hi everyone. I've been talking about supplements, but I'm going to really focus today on diet. And I think that that's really important. And let's see, I'll just go through some of the questions. So, okay, what specific diet should accompany our routines during this time? And this is a really, really great question because Nina, who sent me this question, she wrote, what diet should accompany our routines? And I thought that that was really important to highlight because I think that the ones who are doing really well during this quarantine, and maybe you might think I was going to say introverts are doing fine and extroverts are not doing so good, which I think is probably true to the extent. But I really think that all across the board, the ones who are doing well during this quarantine are the ones that are keeping a routine. So nothing like homeschool to help keep a routine in my house because we've got 8 o'clock Zoom meetings for all my children. But maybe you don't have children and maybe you don't have to go to work anymore. And so you're like getting up whenever you want to. But I really encourage you to continue to get up at the same time every day. Maybe it doesn't have to be, 4 o'clock in the morning like I know some of you used to have to get up. But I want you to focus on being asleep between the hours of 10 and 2 a.m. Okay. And then whatever time you wake up from there, I think is great. Meaning, in other words, like I know some people that go to bed past midnight and sleep in. But really, healing time happens between 10 and 2, and it's because we're human beings and we're diurnal. We're not rats or roaches, so we need to wake up in the daylight and we need to go to sleep when it's dark. And because we have all kinds of things that fool us into thinking into realizing what time it is, like we've got screens and we have electricity and we have smartphones and stuff, that we have lights on in the house, so we don't really know. But if you can be asleep between the hours of 10 and 2, then you're really giving yourself some optimal health, and then naturally getting up from there versus staying up past midnight. Okay, so routines are important, and it really needs to start with what time you go to bed. And the other thing is trying to wake up at the same time every single day, I think is really important, and go to bed at the same time. And, adults need 7 to 10 hours of sleep. I don't think people really get it. I mean, there's a lot of people saying stuff to me like, I don't need that, but you do. Maybe you're getting by on less than 7 to 10 hours of sleep, but your body isn't being optimally, you're not going through enough sleep cycles to really get restoration and healing. So I don't know how I started talking about sleep because I wanted to talk about diet. Okay. Because routines are really important. So the other thing that I think is really important is now you have an opportunity to do a little home prep. So hopefully that gets most of you cooking. And the thing is I thought about looking at this at a sort of how to strengthen your immune cells. And what immune cells, there's all kinds of white blood cells. You've got neutrophils, monocytes, those basically seek and destroy viruses. And then you have eosinophils, which kill parasites. You have basophils, which secrete histamines. You have lymphocytes, which I think are really important because they're attacking particular pathogens, and then the plasma cells, which produce antibodies. So this is a novel virus, a novel coronavirus, so we actually don't have the antibodies to fight this virus, but you can create them. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to keep our immune systems really healthy so that perhaps when you come, or if you come into contact with the virus, then your immune system is strong enough and it can mount an immune response that can basically create antibodies quickly and then boot it out of your system. Okay, because, less than 20% of people who get the coronavirus die from this virus. I actually have, is it 4 or 5? I think it's 5 now patients with COVID-19, but all of them are going to survive. I know it. And some of them are just real troopers, and they've been working with me a long time. And so they take care of themselves. And that's what I really think makes the difference. I mean, of course, there's some of my patients that are more vulnerable, like they're older, or they have respiratory disorders or something like asthma or COPD. That's definitely a concern. But you can give your body what it needs through diet. So basically, how do you feed these immune cells? So you want to everyone's talking about innate immunity versus using immune stimulating supplements, which I think is really an important concept for all of you to understand. Like children, all of us as adults, even, we have what's called an innate immune system. Like we can naturally, there's some natural, it's a built-in immune system. You don't have to do anything to it, though there's lots you can do to support it, okay? And what happens with some of us older folks versus children, and I think that that's why children are not necessarily dying from COVID-19, is because their innate immune system. Children are really fragile, but they're really strong too. So they have an innate immune system, and that's what they're using to fight the disease, where sometimes within a mature immune system, you might have issues where, or the way, it seems that the way that the disease works is that it basically creates what's called a cytokine storm, which is like a really strong immune reaction that you start to basically destroy your own vital organs and destroy your lung tissue, and then your lung tissues fill up with debris and mucus and stuff until you basically can't get enough oxygen to your cells, and then you expire. So what can we do to strengthen our immune systems rather than stimulate them? You can stimulate your immune system, but let's start with the basics first, okay? So the basics I've been talking about are really vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc, and a probiotic, right? So if we think about it, there's tons of foods. Okay, so let's start with vitamin D. Vitamin D, you're honestly not going to get in your diet. Vitamin D, you might find in some fatty fish. You might get like 400 IUs in 3 or 4 ounces of salmon. However, you're going to get 10,000 IUs if you can be in the sun for about 10 or 15 minutes. And you want to expose some of the thin areas of your skin, insides of the arms and, your neck, in order to get and synthesize vitamin D. Okay, so I know that we're all staying at home, but you can go out in your backyard. Here in New York, it's really going to be hard anyways to get 10,000 international units of vitamin D because we're so far north of the equator, but maybe we'll make 5,000 in 10 minutes, and that's pretty good. That's pretty good because that's what I suggest for supplements, is about 5,000 international units. So again, you're not going to get vitamin D, even fortified, that can be a whole other Instagram live. We can talk about fortified foods, which I think might actually be not so wonderful for us. But anyways, like I said, you can't get vitamin D in your food. You've got to get it from the sun, you might be able to get about 400 IUs from 3 ounces of salmon, and then that's it. Okay, so another one that I've been talking a lot about is vitamin C. So vitamin C you're going to get in broccoli, you're going to get in kale, you're going to get in sweet peppers, you're going to get in tomatoes. Okay, so there's lots and lots of vitamin C in fresh vegetables. So I've been talking about Misfits, who Dr. Millie put me on to Misfits over there at NatMed Coach. Neither of us are, we're not getting paid. This is not an advertisement for Misfits, but basically what Misfits does is they go to all the farmers and they buy up the produce that was rejected, and it's all organic. So you're supposedly getting ugly produce, but I've not had an ugly eggplant yet. I mean, all the produce I get from Misfits is gorgeous, and maybe ugly is the new pretty, because I just can't tell. They're all beautiful. I mean, I might have a couple carrots that have like 2 legs, or like a beet that's shaped a little funny, but in general, they're gorgeous. And that's how I've been getting our fresh vegetables. I get a huge box once or twice a week, and shipping hasn't slowed down for them. So, and just remember, fruits and vegetables, just like you wash your hands for 20 seconds, you need to wash your fruits and vegetables for 20 seconds with soap to make sure the virus is off, because people are handling your groceries. Okay, so what was I talking about that? Oh, vitamin C, fresh vegetables. That's really important. So we talked about vitamin D as in David. I mentioned vitamin C. Another one is zinc. So zinc is a really important one. If you have a good amount of zinc in your body, it's only supposed to be about 8 or 10 is the recommended daily allowance. But I usually have people take 30 milligrams zinc lozenges. They're nowhere to be found in the stores right now, but so you can make sure you're getting some zinc in your food, which you're going to find in beans. Okay, so you got to find, you're going to get some zinc if you eat some beans. Now's a really good time. I've been slow cooking beans. I'll start at 12 noon. I'll soak them overnight and then cook them at 12 noon, turn them off when they're done, and then sort of warm them up and add, vegetables and onions and garlic for dinner. And that's been tasty, and it has all the zinc there that you need. And other places you can get zinc is from seafood and meat. The problem, though, with getting zinc from beans is sometimes the phytates keep you from absorbing it as well. But that's okay, you're getting it. Versus, honestly, meat helps you absorb zinc. Okay, so that's zinc. Another important nutrient for your immune system is vitamin A. So A like apple. And you're going to get that from all the yellow and the reds and the orange vegetables. So we're talking carrots, we're talking sweet potatoes and yams. That's really anything orange or yellow, you're going to get vitamin A. Yellow peppers, orange peppers. Also, cod liver oil is another good source of vitamin A. So fish and eggs too, if you eat those. And that can really also support your immune system and making all those white blood cells that I was talking about. And the last nutrient I'd like to talk about is selenium. So selenium, which you can find in Brazil nuts and sunflower seeds. You can also get it in tuna or beef. Selenium's another really good one that helps strengthen your immune system. So those are the ones I want to focus on. But if you kind of turn it around, so instead of looking at vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin C, selenium and zinc, I want you to turn around and look at the food sources I just mentioned. So what did I mention? I mentioned tomatoes, and I mentioned green peppers and red peppers and yellow peppers, and I mentioned carrots, and I mentioned sweet potatoes, and I mentioned beans, and did I mention greens? If I didn't mention greens are important for strengthening your immune system. They provide lots of folic acid, which is B9, and some other B vitamins. And I did mention nuts and seeds, so Brazil nuts, sunflower seeds. And then I did also mention seafood and meat and eggs. Okay, so what does that mean? That means you need to eat a diet of protein and vegetables. Okay, protein and vegetables is what's going to strengthen your immune system. And protein is the building blocks for nutrients. So again, protein sources that I've mentioned are sunflower seeds, Brazil nuts, beans, all different kinds. I mentioned seafood, particularly salmon, and cod. And then I did also mention beef and eggs. Okay, so that's protein sources. If you're a vegan, you know which one of those you're going to eat. And if you're a carnivore, you know which ones of those you're going to eat. And then the other ones are those fresh veggies that you have to get in. So the sweet potatoes, carrots, greens, sweet peppers, eggplants, tomatoes. You want to see a rainbow on your plate. Okay, so what foods did I not mention? Okay, well, I did not mention flour. Products from flour, wheat flour in particular, are going to be a strain on your immune system and on your digestive health. So things like, oh, wow, I didn't move up the feed, so I'm seeing lots of people joining me. Oh, I love you too, Shoshana. Okay, yeah, proteins and veggies. So I did not mention, and if any of you have a question, just ask me. I did not mention wheat and I did not mention flour because these foods are not going to help you. And I didn't mention sugar, so that's not going to help you either. Okay, so you really want to avoid wheat, flour. So flour is not really food, and if you think about it, flour is like wheat pounded out into dust and then reconstituted with water and made into this sticky dough. It's not high nutrient dense food. And actually it's low nutrient dense food, and it can actually irritate the walls of your intestine. Okay. And some people just can't even tolerate it at all. So, and what do you get from wheat flour? Well, noodles, dumplings, donuts, pastries, crackers, bread. You want to stay away from those and just stick to protein and fresh vegetables. Grains are really important too. I mean, carbohydrates are important for your diet, but I really want you to get good, healthy carbohydrates, like rice, brown rice, or like quinoa, or amaranth, or oats, or you can even get carbs from your veggies, like broccoli has a little bit of carbs, carrots, and I think those are all really great healthy carbs. Sweet potato, butternut squash. So when you ask me a question about what diet you should have to strengthen your immune system, this is it. Okay, so someone's asking me about the elderberry. Yeah, elderberry can help. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. I've got some of these. Oh, I probably should have screen recorded this one too, but I've screen recorded at least one other Instagram live and then did a video for YouTube. So if you go to Dr. Selassie on YouTube, you can find where I talk a little bit more about supplements. So more questions. Okay, well, I'll go into supplements a little bit right now. How do we protect our respiratory system? That was another question, which I think is really important because, like I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the video, that is the targeted area where you have a cytokine storm, and then all the debris from the inside of your lungs, plus you're producing a lot of mucus, basically fills up your lungs, and then you don't get oxygen. So some of the supplements that I like to recommend, and just remember, I am a doctor, but I am not your doctor. So you need to ask your doctor if these are okay supplements for you. I am not recommending them. Okay, I'm just educating you and telling you that black seed and also NAC are really good supplements to help your respiratory system. Black seeds, someone's asking, can I please tell us the benefit of black seeds? Well, I could do a whole other Instagram live on black seed and black seed oil. It's in every single holy text, the Quran, the Bible, the Torah. Like, it's just documented for thousands of years how black seed has helped the human population. And there's even a saying in the Muslim faith that it cures every disease except for death. And then modern medical science kind of repeats that, like basically says, yep, we've checked black seed for rhinitis, we've checked black seed for asthma, we've checked black seed for pancreatic cancer, we've looked at black seed for arthritis, we've looked at, it just goes on and on and on. Black seed is really an amazing food. Okay, so you can do a tablespoon of black seed oil, or you could take black seed capsules. Yes, and for those of you with autoimmune disease, does trying to boost your immune system help or hurt? You cannot do immune stimulating nutrients with if you have autoimmune disease. So that's why I'm really trying to focus on innate immunity. And that's what I was speaking at the beginning. Like, you want to strengthen your innate immunity versus stimulating your immune system. I think that if you're stimulating your immune system, you might run into some trouble there. I mean, you should, if you have the help of a naturopathic doctor like me, then maybe you could do it safely. But for those with autoimmune disease, you can boost your immune system by eating all those foods that I mentioned, but you can't do immune stimulating herbs like echinacea, for example, would be a problem if you were if you had autoimmune disease. Okay, so what else did I have to say? Okay, NAC and black seeds. So another question that I got was, actually, I got this question twice. One person asked, can drinking warm water every 15 minutes flush the virus out of the chest area? And someone else asked me, does drinking hot liquids help if you get the virus? So my answer to that is yes. And I would say warm versus hot. You know, you don't want hot liquids coming down your esophagus. Warm liquids is really important, I think, but most important, I think, isn't really that you're drinking warm liquids. It's important that you're hydrating. Okay, so the thing is people have to understand this. If you're drinking tea all day, you're actually most tea, whether it's a black tea or a caffeinated tea or a green tea or an herbal tea, which is not caffeinated, most of them make you lose water. So by warm liquids, I think the best is really warm water. You might add a little lemon to it. But the other thing that helps with hydrating yourself and drinking warm tea is that it basically creates a robust mucosa. Mucosa is like that tissue that lines like the nasal passages, the mouth, the inside of your throat. So keeping your mucosa healthy is really, really important for preventing this virus. So all of us should be hydrating and drinking a lot of warm liquids. I think that, warm water. Okay, let me just get straight. Drinking a lot of warm water is good for all of us. It doesn't matter whether you have COVID-19 or don't have it, or you have, respiratory issues, or you're older, or you're younger, or you have autoimmune disease or not. Like, you really need to drink water, and warm water is probably better, and it really helps give you a robust mucosa. So that's that question. Someone asked me also if sitting in the sun can help fight the virus. Yeah, because if you listen to what I said earlier about vitamin D, you can't get vitamin D from your food. You can really only get vitamin D from a supplement, or if you stand in the sun for 10 or 15 minutes and expose the thin skin of your body, which might be hard. I mean, here in New York, it's still a little bit cold, so nobody's going to go out in a bikini, but you got to have some skin exposure. Maybe you can walk and roll your sleeves up and put your hands behind your back so that the sun can get the insides of your wrist. But sitting out in the sun, I think, can be really helpful. You don't really want to do more than 10 or 15 minutes because there are detrimental effects for sitting in the sun that long. Hi, Howie. I'm so glad to see some of you here. Gatenesh, hi. Okay, so what else do you want to ask? Oh, okay, exercise. Yes, I mean, please exercise. So I talked earlier about, I talked earlier about routines and how important routines are for really staying strong in this quarantine and what people are really going to do. But exercise trumps everything. Exercise is so important. I can't even strain to you how important exercise is. And I've just been doing yoga in a little town. I live in Brooklyn in a tiny Brooklyn home. I've been doing yoga on a 10 by 10 foot carpet, right here in my office, actually, with one of my daughters, my 7-year-old. We've been doing yoga, and then thank goodness they still have gyms, so they're watching YouTube videos, and I'm doing all of them with all of my children. My oldest, who's 17, she has to do 40 minutes of aerobic exercise 3 days a week as her gym homework. So I'm doing all of that, and I might actually be getting more exercise than I do normally, which is great. But I think that it's keeping me really sane and really healthy. And when you do that, you really stimulate your immune system. Your immune system gets a really healthy boost. And this is the kind of immune system boost that if you have autoimmune disease, you can use. Okay. So, exercise, and you got to do whatever you want to do. I mean, if you are dealing with, chronic disease, or you're not feeling so good, I really don't suggest you start doing like, HIIT or high intensity resistance interval training or pulling tires or anything like that. But you can walk and you can do yoga. Oh, somebody's been sea swimming every day, and that's been a lifesaver. If you have that luxury wherever you are, like here, we can't do that. But if you are somewhere where you can, I'm sure that that is a lifesaver. And that's probably healing in so many ways. Like it's probably really a spiritual place, a really calming, meditative place to be. But yeah, movement is huge. Like you've got to move all your joints. So exercise for immunity is huge. And somebody else wrote me, drinking lemon/baking soda keeps the virus from being able to take root because it can't with high alkaline levels. Okay. Oh, west of Ireland. Oh, I hear it's so green there. I'd love to see that. I painted my walls green. Maybe that's something like as close as I'm going to get until this quarantine is over and I can fly over. My first name is Patricia, which is the female version of St. Patrick. So anyway, fun fact about me. Let's see what else. Okay, drinking. Okay, staying alkaline. So, there's all these kinds of machines out there that make your water more alkaline. That is like $4,000, $6,000. Really, the way you can make your water alkaline is with a little bit of lemon or baking soda. And I think that that is a really healthy way to make sure you stay hydrated. It is hard when your body is more alkaline versus acidic. You tend to not harbor disease. But the original way that most of us stayed alkaline was really through greens. Okay, so you got to eat your greens. I mentioned that when we were talking about diet. Okay, you've got to eat your fresh veggies. That's really what puts you in an alkaline state versus eating things like the flour I was talking about and meat too much, like too much meat, and also dairy can really make you acidic. So I do suggest you stay in an alkaline state. Does drinking lemon and baking soda keep the virus from being able to take root? I'm not so sure I can say that. I mean, there really hasn't been any studies on that specifically. We do know that the virus adheres to the angiotensin 2 receptor, and we have those whether we're alkaline or not. So that's probably the best I can say. But do I recommend warm lemon water? Yes. Okay. So, gosh, does anyone else have any questions? It's about 12:30. I usually am on, even though I call this the New Flower Hour, I'm usually only on for 30 minutes. Though I love being here. And if any of you have any questions, I covered a lot today. I kind of wish I screen recorded it so I could post it on YouTube for you. But it'll be up here for 24 hours on Instagram Live. And we talked all about the white blood cells, and I went over each of the important vitamins and minerals like zinc, vitamin D, vitamin C, vitamin A, and selenium, and where you get your food from, and that your food really needs to be protein and vegetables. Whether you're a vegetarian or you're a carnivore, you've got to do protein and veggies and stick to your fresh veggies. And don't forget to wash your fresh veggies with soap and water for 20 seconds, because people with the virus, healthy people holding or carrying the virus as a vector, will be handling your produce. So keep that in mind. We talked about staying hydrated to help strengthen your mucosa. Somebody is asking about breathing exercises to strengthen the lungs. Yes, that's really important. And I got this tip from Dr. Millie. Nose breathing in and out is better than mouth breathing. So anything you can do is really important for any kind of meditation, any kind of 4-breath, 3-breath series. You can look them all up on YouTube, but breathing exercise is very, very important for strengthening your lungs. And going through your nose, I think, is really important. Most of us do a lot of mouth breathing, where we really get some big benefits with some nose breathing. And yes, you want to do the water, stay hydrated. If you do the warm water, that's great. But remember, teas, as much as tea, I mean, I love tea. I've had tea, I've had 2 things of this today, tea, and it's only 12 noon, but I will also have water, because tea, whether it's caffeinated tea or whether it's decaffeinated, is going to dehydrate you. So somebody asked about caffeine. I don't know exactly what you're asking. Oh, it's Nina who asked me some of these great questions today that I think made this a really good Instagram Live New Flower Hour. But caffeine will dehydrate you. I mean, I had caffeine tea today, but you've got to replenish the water that you lose from caffeine with water. Okay, so warm water is really important. And we talked about sitting in the sun, how you can generate vitamin D, and how that's important. We talked about exercise. I cannot strain exercise enough. And also, I talked about sleep at the very beginning of this video. I cannot strain sleep enough. And then somebody is asking me, do masks really help protect? So in my other videos that you can find on YouTube, in my other videos where I talked about COVID-19 on YouTube, I talked about the mask doesn't really help you. In fact, it might actually make you touch your face more, where I think that the mask, but maybe I'm changing my mind about it. Okay, because there's been some studies showing that some of the countries where they practiced and used and had masks available, there was less deaths from COVID-19. So that's a very loose association and very preliminary research, but I think that we have to consider masks. But masks might make you touch your face a lot. I think it's more important if you think you are a carrier or you've been exposed to COVID-19 or not exposed to COVID-19, exposed to the SARS virus that causes the disease COVID-19, or if you live with people that are sick with it, then I think that the mask becomes really important so that you don't spread it, okay? And there is some things about that we're talking about second infections. So I think it's really important to keep you from coughing and spewing out saliva or sneezing. And originally, like here in New York, where you would see some people in Chinatown, this is years ago, I remember seeing some people in Chinatown wearing the mask, and I thought it was so odd, but really it was because they had a cold, so they were protecting me and everybody else on the subway. So masks, I think, are really important for preventing if you think you're spreading it. And unfortunately, the problem with this versus like the flu gets spread from one person to another person. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio, but this SARS-2 virus gets spread from 1 to 3 or 1 to up to 50. And usually it's the healthy people that are walking around and interacting that are really spreading it. So maybe the mask is important, and it seems that even a homemade mask, so all of you people out there posting homemade masks that they've sewn together, can try that, and respect to you too. Thank you. So anyway, like I said, I started these Instagram lives at the beginning of March to promote my book called Aging Brilliantly, which is how to eat, move, rest, and socialize your way to long life. And then this coronavirus thing happened. And I still think this book is actually really pertinent because it's basically, this is what you have to do to strengthen your immunity is you need to eat well, you need to move. So you need to be eating well, you need to be exercising, you need to rest. So I talked about sleep today at the beginning of this IG Live, and you need to socialize. So even though we're practicing physically distancing from each other, it doesn't mean we have to stop socializing. So call your mother, she wants to hear from you. Call your parents, call your children, call your aunts, your uncles, call your old friends from high school, call your friends that you're friends with on Facebook and Instagram. Like connect and text people and say hi and offer words of encouragement, and also be a good receiver. So be willing to receive words of encouragement too, and that's how we make love go around. And hopefully we'll just all get through this together. So that's it for now. My name is Dr. Selassie. I loved being with you today. Thank you for your excellent questions because I think it made for a really good IG Live today. Thanks, Pastor Woody, and thanks, Sister Della, for your excellent questions today. And thank you, Nina, for your excellent questions. Thank you, everyone. And again, I'm here every Tuesday at 12 noon. To answer your health questions. So if you have any questions, it doesn't have to be COVID-19 related, then please DM me, or you can email my office. My website is everything of mine is drselassie.com with the doctor spelled out. So my YouTube videos are at Dr. Selassie, DoctorSelassie, and that's my website too, www.drselassie.com. You can email me questions from there that you'd like me to address on IG Live. You can DM me on Instagram. You can even call my secretaries and tell them, and they'll take care of you. Okay, again, my name is Dr. Selassie. Purchase my book, Aging Brilliantly, on Amazon. It's only like $12, but it's a really good resource for you and a very fun book with lots of colored pages and illustrations and really good information and quizzes and a glossary and resources. And I still think it's pertinent to, it's for living a long life and aging brilliantly, but it's also for living your life and getting through this quarantine. It all pertains. It's naturopathic lifestyle modifications. That's what's going to keep us all healthy. Yeah, that's my book, Sarah Maria. Please get it on. Yep, this is my first book, and I'm very excited. I've been missing you, Miss Joneses. So yeah, it's my first book. It came out the same time the coronavirus did. Well, not exactly. It came out a little later. It came out March 10th. Me and Miss Rona are competing here for attention. But anyway, enough coronavirus jokes. Love rules. My name is Dr. Selassie. I'll be here next Tuesday. Thank you so much for your excellent questions. I'll see you later.